listening to the Dreaming of Freedom podcast on the 2 Cents FC network.
All right, welcome back to the Dreaming of Freedom podcast, where we talk about all things black soccer in MLS. I'm Jermaine.
And I'm Callie, and we are members of Black Herons United, an independent black supporters group for Inter Miami and all things black soccer in South Florida.
For episode 20, we made it, y'all. For episode 20,
baby.
That's it. We'll be covering match day 24, giving you our teams of the week, our dream team selection featuring Denis Bouanga, AZ Jackson, and Leo Chu. And of course, our footnotes, where we finally determined the blackest team in MLS. So stay tuned to catch it all. Callie, we made it. Finally, 20 episodes. How you feeling, man?
20, baby. It's, it feels like we just got started yesterday and we've, kind of reformatted stuff, and we took a little bit of a hiatus at some points just to kind of get ourselves reorganized. But man, I feel great. I feel like we're going strong. We're seeing the love on Twitter. We're seeing the love on the socials. So, appreciate some of the shout outs we're getting. We're going, man. We're going. And if I sound a little weird, I'm a little under the weather, but
no worries, brother. No worries.
We move.
We continue to move. That's right. That's right. You feeling good about Sunday, the unveil with Messi?
The unveiling on Sunday. I saw those tickets pop into my account earlier, and I was like, "Ooh,
it's
buddy,
here.
It's here." All of this. It feels like since the club's inception, we've kind of been waiting for this moment, and now we're here. It's starting to. It still doesn't feel real to me, and I don't think it'll feel real till we're there on Sunday. And we see him walk out, presumably, and wearing with an Inter Miami badge on his chest. So.
And it's going to be a beautiful sight.
Yep.
All right, so AD will join us shortly. AD has those those infamous internet issues. It's all good. He'll join us shortly. So let's get right into it, Callie. Let's start with the team of the week. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. And you know what? Forget it. Let's just start with Inter Miami. I mean, we're feeling good. It's Inter Miami season. It's Messi season. And apparently it's homegrown season. Callie, that game was incredible. Only because we got to see all the homegrown talent just fully blossoming into these incredible players for the club. What did you think about the homegrown performances?
Man, if you guys didn't catch it, and I'm sure people maybe didn't, it was one of those 4th of July games, which are, surely, or, people are doing stuff with their families and stuff like that. But, man, haven't seen fight from this team like that in a while. It was really encouraging. But, man, I know there's a lot of hype surrounding Inter Miami with Messi and Busquets and Alba and presumably a few more coming. But some of the homegrown talent that has come up through the academy is so much fun to watch, man. Ian Frey, local boy, Broward County, dude is a straight up baller, super aggressive. He's fantastic with the ball at his feet. Man, and then we have Izzy Boatwright. Again, I think he's only 17 years old.
Izzy.
Getting minutes with the first team. Schneider Borgelin,
Noah.
Benja had his first goal the other day, an absolute banger from outside the box. And then Noah Allen, who's probably the one that Miami fans are most familiar with. He's definitely gotten the most minutes probably since going back to last year. And then my own former student, he used to fall asleep in my class, David Ruiz, who's been an anchor in the as a playing in that 6 role for the club. All those guys seeing the field and getting minutes, it's incredible. And it's going to be really cool that they're going to be able to play with and learn under guys like Messi and Busquets and Alba. So I think that only brightens the future for the club.
Absolutely, it's definitely a bright future, bro. And I completely forgot that David Ruiz was your student, dude. Like,
when I coached the girls at the school that I was at, his girlfriend was one of my captains. So
get out of here.
3-year captain at the school she was. So
nice.
she's a little baller too.
Yeah, so she's a baller too, right?
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Inter Miami. As Callie said, a lot of hype around Messi, obviously, but it's just so exciting as true Inter Miami supporters, as day one Inter Miami supporters, to see our academy really producing and really, producing strong talent, really producing strong talent. So just quickly, we have Ian Frey, Izzy Boatwright, Shanadir Borgelin, Benjamin Kramashi, Noah Allen and David Ruiz, and all of these players have made incredible contributions throughout the season. They're fearless, right? You could think of Shanadir, you could think of Ian. I mean, Ian Frey is just he encapsulates everything, right? He is fearless. He has an attitude on the pitch. He plays with style and flair. He's very mature, right? And he's contributing, right, as a defender, which is that's always just fun to watch as a fan, seeing your defenders join the attack and not only join the attack, right, but they're actually, as you said, Callie, he looks good with the ball on his feet. He's very comfortable, and it's just and of course we talked about Ian Frey in the past, but big shout out to Izzy Boatwright, Dominican Republic international. He's gotten some call ups with the national team. So we're just really excited for all of our young players. Shout out to Noah Allen, who had that really great goal, that really great free kick. We're just really excited to see all these players thrive in Inter Miami. And of course, Tata's here now, right? He just kind of took control with the club, and of course Messi and friends will be here shortly, and this is all going to help develop the players to the next level. So we're really excited about Inter Miami and their homegrown talent. Anything else you want to add about Inter Miami and their future?
No, just kind of reiterate that I think in terms of, you can say whatever you want about Miami in terms of some of the their approach to signing veteran players, but their development of their youth academy and bringing guys up to that youth academy is unrivaled. I think in the next probably 2 or 3 years, we're going to see guys like Benja, Frey, David Ruiz, Borgelin. Like, I think we'll see these guys get either big minutes with the club or, get opportunities overseas, man. Especially guys like Frey and Ruiz, I think that can, and Benja, that can definitely, I think, make that jump.
Yo, and speaking of Frey, Jamaica, you can go ahead and call that man up. He can add some good depth to the roster, especially after that terrible loss against Mexico yesterday. But we won't talk about that. That's too much on my heart.
I was talking to some other group of Inter Miami fans, and we were kind of talking about like who's going to be the first one to sign like a big like European contract, and I think that might be Frey. After seeing it, like before, my guess was like Benja or something like that, or maybe Leo getting another chance in Europe. I think it might be Frey, man.
It could be Frey, man.
I this may sound biased because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I think what Frey can be is kind of like a Trent Alexander-Arnold type, that he can play out wide, but he can come back and play centrally also. Because we've seen him do that a bit this year. He like when he's called upon, he's played out wide as a defender. But in possession and in the attack, he moves more central. So being able to transition that way, in possession, out of possession, he gave me that comparison. So, I think he'd look good in red, but that's just my opinion.
All right. Calm down. Bro, speaking of Trent Alexander-Arnold, what's up with your mans? Why is he cutting the locks? I don't know if you saw that picture.
I did, man. I did. He came to America to hang out for a little bit. He was on the West Coast. He was in LA. He had the locks when he came here. He gets back to Liverpool and they're gone. I'm like, dude, the locks were going great, man. What happened? But
I was loving the Rasta Alexander, bro. I needed that.
He came to America and went full West Coast. Just went clean cut. Even trimmed the little goatee he had going on, man. Like,
it is what it is. It's fine, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, he's balling. He had a really great international break recently. Shout out to Trent Alexander-Arnold. All right, so shout out to our homegrown players. We definitely want to keep an eye out on them throughout the rest of the season, but also for their futures, right? They're all relatively young, all under, I believe, 23 years old. So it's an exciting time for the club and the academy, right?
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Western Conference, the team of the week we have to, if you cannot tell by the jersey I'm wearing, we had to shout out the Seattle Sounders. And if you can't tell by the jersey I'm wearing, I got the
Attaboy.
I think this is the Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. One of the better ones.
One of the best ones in MLS, bro. Like this is anyway. But so Seattle Sounders had an incredible game against Vancouver. They won 3-2. And it was really a tale of two halves, the game, right? Vancouver kind of dominated the first half, and Seattle came back and dominated the second half. Now, the 3 goals that Seattle scored, they were all scored by Black players, right? So that's why we definitely wanted to highlight them for this Team of the Week in the Western Conference. And one of those goals was a last-minute game winner, right? Scored by Yeimar Gomez, who we'll talk about in the Dream Team roster. Okay, and so even though Seattle controlled most of the possession throughout the game, it was really Vancouver that was more dangerous in the first half with 10 shots, and Seattle I think had like six shots. But Vancouver only came away with a goal, right? So they weren't really taking advantage of all the opportunities that they were creating, and Seattle just proved to be more clinical, especially in that second half. So definitely want to give a shout out to Leo Chu, who of course we'll talk more in detail during the Dream Team. And he was just exploiting the right spaces at the right time, right? Vancouver, like on both of his goals, Mans was wide open, just completely wide open. But it's because of the clever movement that he was able to do in the box, and particularly on set pieces, right? So the first goal was a corner kick. It took a deflection and it just found Leo wide open in front of the goal, where he just cleanly tucks it in. And it looks kind of like, madness at first. It looked like he kind of just stuck a foot out. But then when you really watch it, the man really is concentrated and focused and being very intentional with getting that goal in. And the second goal was very similar, right? Another set piece, but this time it was a free kick. Ladero crossed it in. And again, Leo Chu just found, was wide open and slotted it in for the brace. Right. So shout out to Leo, who got 2 goals in that game. And in the 89th minute, Laborda of Vancouver, he actually tackled Chu, right? He tackled Leo. So even when he's not scoring goals, he still finds a way to have an impact in the game. Laborda on that tackle picked up his second yellow, was sent off with the red. And going forward at the end of the game, right, Leo gets an assist, right? So the man's got 2 goals and an assist, all 3 goal contributions Leo was a part of. And he got the assist, of course, on the final goal to Yeimar Gomez in the 91st minute for the win, right? Again, we'll discuss Yeimar and his goal shortly, but just an overall resilient performance from Seattle, right? A big shout out to Leo and Yeimar for putting the team on their backs, right? They really did their thing with Matchday 24, right? So shout out to them. So any final comments on those final 2 matches?
Just with Seattle, man, they're just a fun team to watch, man. If you can stay out for those West Coast games, they kind of went through it last year, but man, this year they're playing some really exciting footy. So
yeah. It's good to watch, man. It's good to watch. I mean, I think doing this podcast more and more each episode is like you kind of get a certain affinity to these teams, right? And Seattle is slowly becoming one of them. And Leo Chu in particular, let's keep an eye on Leo, right? We'll talk more about him in the Dream Team, but just his story is really nice, and it's just really good to see him thrive particularly at this time of the season. All right, so that wraps up the teams of the week. So let's check out our Dream Team. All right, so the Dream Team for Matchday 24 features 9 Black players. We'll quickly discuss the first 5, then do deep dives on the last 3, okay? So, Callie, you want to get us started?
Yep. So first up for our Dream Team, we got Nigel Roberta out of DC United, subbed in on the 76th minute. First touch on the ball was his very first touch on the ball was a goal, and it was his first game on the season. And he actually has a pretty cool background, man. Born in the Netherlands, but he holds Curacao citizenship. So
That's fascinating.
That is fascinating. He's played in a couple of really cool leagues. So he grew up in the Netherlands. He went through Feyenoord's academy. Got his first contract in June of 2015, and he kind of worked there through the academy. Only got one appearance with the first team. Then he signed a 2-year deal with Camber, which is the second tier in the Netherlands, and he was there for 2 years. And then he went to he got his first real first team experience with Levski Sofia in Bulgaria before getting sent over to DC United, where he's been pretty damn good. 5 goals in 39 appearances. He's still young, 25, still kind of he's been here for 2 years now, really finally starting to get some serious minutes for the club. So and an attack in DC that's pretty good. So that was his day, and I just thought it was a cool little background. He's scored everywhere he's been. So
yeah, and I think it was his first goal of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
This was his first goal of the season. Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to Nigel, and the dude has an impeccable fashion sense.
Yes.
Go ahead and check out man's IG. That man is
the drip is real.
Yeah, it really is. Between him and Kosi Tafari, those two brothers got it going on for sure. All right, so next up we have Big Draco Calendar. Okay, so what we're gonna do going forward for the Dream Team, just to show our goalkeepers some love, is we're gonna include a goalkeeper each week for the Dream Team, because we know that we weren't really giving our goalkeepers love, and there are a number of black goalkeepers in the league. Big Draco, of course, being one of them, if not the best goalkeeper in the league, dare I say. So yeah, I mean, he didn't have the best game, right? He let 2 past him, but I mean, dude was getting peppered all game. He had some great saves, and the score could have been a lot worse if it was not for Big Draco, as is the case with most Inter Miami games, right? Big Draco is constantly saving our ass.
Dragging us to points.
Bruh, literally dragging us into points. But so definitely shout out to Big Draco. He just had a recent call up with the U.S. team for the Nations League. So definitely want to see him get more international call ups. But then again, the more international call ups you get, the less time you're with Inter Miami. So maybe don't get too many call ups. But yeah, big shout out to Big Draco for that one. A supporter of Black Herons. He's a representative on Black Players for Change. So he's a all around incredible person. And
he also has one of our scarves. Fun fact.
He has one of our scarves. Yeah, he's a big supporter. Right? So hopefully, I'm trying to get in contact with the club. We've been trying to get in contact with the club about some damn interviews. But y'all want to act up. That's probably not the best way to go about getting an interview, but it is what it is. Yeah, we might have to edit that out. But it's all right. So that was Big Draco. So Callie, who's up next?
Next up, we got Brandon Bai out of the Revs. Corner kick on a set piece. Bai it was an absolute rocket into rocket off of a header. They lost to New York Red Bulls, but it is what it is. Brandon Bai, just a quick back note, grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which has a very strong Black community. It's but an area very rich in its athletic history. Grew up there, went to Western Michigan, which is just down the road, and then he took the hard way, man. Went Grand Rapids FC, Kalamazoo, Minneapolis SC, and then finally with the Revs, where he has 150 goals in 8 goals in 150 appearances.
I was about to say 150 goals. God,
no. I know we talked about this a little more, but yeah, dude scored a nice one on a right off a corner. Somehow managed to put a lot of power behind the header and got it in. But real quick, just sticking on the Revs, I don't know if you guys saw the trade that just went down with
just went down.
Yeah, the Revs sending Latif Blessing to Toronto for Mark Anthony Kaye. Just straight up. I mean, the Revs Toronto got an international slot out of it, but just a kind of a head-scratching trade, like two guys that seemed well-established for their teams.
Mm-hmm.
Just a straight-up trade like that. So something I think may have gone down, or Toronto's just committing to rebuild. I don't know, but Mark Anthony Kaye, not only was he a staple for Toronto FC, he was also just a staple for Canada, for Team Canada.
Yes.
So that was a strange one.
That is strange, especially because Latif just got to the Revs this season.
Yep.
Like right before the season started. So it's very it's very head scratching, very confusing. I'm sure there's something deeper going on. One thing maybe something that's contributing to this decision was Latif's recent red card that he received. It was a straight red, but then again, it's like, is that the reason for a trade, right? I mean, he hasn't. I don't know how impactful he's been throughout the season. I think he's sitting on 1 assist. So he hasn't really been that involved with goal contributions. But it's still weird to think that, or to know that this man is getting traded only a few months into the season.
That was a strange one. And keeping it to Canada. Montreal made a massive move for Opoku from LAFC, sending over $1.75 million in GAM.
Damn.
I mean, that's fat. I mean, I can only imagine LAFC's gonna try and jump in on all these hot European transfers that are coming in now, trying to match the their East Coast beach location rivals. So that's the only thing I can think of, man, because that move, I mean, Opoku's a baller, straight up baller, and I think he'll do well for Montreal, but that was a big one. And
Callie, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the second highest trade in terms of GAM money.
You don't know who the first was?
Who was the first, Callie?
Inter Miami trades Lewis Morgan, our best player, to New York Red Bulls.
Oh my
to
Lord.
the tune of 2.1 billion or million.
Not billion, boy.
This cold is fucking me up, bro.
No, it's all good, bro.
The 2.1 million in GAM, something to that effect. So
I think there was another one, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was another one right above.
I know at the time Lewis Morgan was the biggest one.
Yeah, I think
maybe there is. I haven't.
No, I think since then there has been a whatever. Well, yeah, whatever. But just know that these trades are happening. Seemingly a lot of important pieces, right, are being traded from these teams. It was 1.75 in GAM. But shout out to Montreal, right? Montreal just picked up a baller. They already have a few ballers, right? So I think they're messing around with the bottom of the playoff table, if I'm not mistaken. So this is definitely going to help them kind of solidify their spot in that playoff race. So shout out to Montreal. Shout out to Opoku.
Montreal are itching for a playoff spot right now. They're at 10th.
Okay. How many points behind Kings?
They're 3 points behind Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chicago just got a big win last night.
Yeah, my boy, former Red, Xander Shaqiri, just with an absolute rocket from outside the box. I'm always going to call my boys out.
You're always going to call your boys out. It's all right. Though. I appreciate it. In fact, bro, is that the jersey? Are you wearing the jersey right now? Are you wearing the Liverpool jersey?
No. This is actually a Miami Marlins shirt.
Gotcha.
Shout out to also a very black team if you watch them. Very black team.
Okay. Hey, let's get it. And they're doing pretty good this season, right?
Second best record in the National League, baby. We're going.
Shout out to the battered Marlins.
Battered right? Marlins, yep. That's
battered
my
Marlins
podcast. So nice little selfless shout there. So
let's get it. All right, cool. So so that was Brandon Bai with New England Revolution, and again, a great goal in the 76th minute. Next up, we're going to Houston, and we talked about this brother a few episodes ago. Ibrahim Aliyu, a Nigerian dude. It's his first goal of the season, scored right before halftime, so it was a fantastic moment to score. And it was really, if I'm being completely honest, this was Hector Herrera's goal, like masterpiece of a goal. The way he constructed it, he started, Herrera started with the ball in his own half. He sends the ball up, 20 yards into the opposing half and does a quick 1-2 with another Houston player. I'm forgetting the name at the time, but I think it was Baird. Just does a beautiful give and go with Baird, and he could have scored. Herrera could have scored, but he squares it to Aliyu, who just puts it away. So it was a great moment for Aliyu, and it was just a beautiful goal, a beautiful Houston goal. They ended the game against Sporting Kansas City with a draw, 2-2. But shout out to Aliyu. And again, go check out those previous episodes where we talked about him and his recent entrance into MLS. And also, speaking of that game, shout out to Gadi Kinda. We've talked about Gadi Kinda as well. And he just had a beautiful assist, a beautiful backheel pass to Polito, who just stroked it in for Kansas City's first goal. So Gadi Kinda is nice, yo. He's not on the score sheet a lot, but this man is racking up his assists, and it's very hard to miss him on the pitch because he's so impactful with his passing. So shout out to Houston, shout out to Carrasquilla, right, with Houston, who just advanced to the Gold Cup final with Panama, right? So Houston is doing some things, a lot of exciting performances, and just an exciting time in general for Houston. All right, so going forward, we have Anderson Julio. Okay, so we talked about Julio last episode. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about him again because he scored his second goal in back-to-back match days, and this brother scored last night. Cali, I don't know if you peeped that. This man scored 3 goals
as a super sub.
As a super sub, bro. As a super sub. He's coming off the bench. He's embracing the role, and he's contributing, right? So in match day 24, he comes on in the 81st minute, scores in the 89th minute, right? Which was, it wasn't necessarily a deciding goal, right? It was the last goal of Real Salt Lake's route of Orlando City, which is always a good thing around here. But he was just, he just found himself in a really good forward position. He received the ball, a really beautiful through ball from Pablo Ruiz. It took out like 4 defenders, and Julio just does a nasty turn into space and finessed it right past the Orlando keeper, right? So shout out to Anderson Julio.
I just wish he was on like a team that was in Real Salt Lake. Like that would be
That's
awesome.
the thing, right? That's the thing. Real Salt Lake is a dumpster fire of an organization, but this man is balling, man. This man is really balling. So shout out to him, and hopefully he can, rack up these goals in the final third of the season. Again, as a super sub, right? This dude is not even starting. He's picking up these goals. Maybe he might get the start. Who knows? But I kind of like him in this role that he's in now. So we'll see. So shout out to Anderson Julio going forward. The next one before we get into the final 3 is Yeimar Gomez. So Yeimar Gomez, we talked about him a little bit. He played for Seattle, of course, and he had the game winner in that game against Vancouver, assist by Leo Chu. And it was his first goal of the season. Again, Leo Chu crossed it in. It deflected off a Vancouver defender, and Yeimar just launches it from the penalty spot. Yeimar is a veteran, right, with Seattle. Over 100 appearances for the club. Just an OG for the city in general. And it's good to just see this brother get his first goal of the season. Again, off of an incredible performance by Leo Chu. So that wraps up the 5 members of the Dream Team roster, and now we'll go into do a little bit more deep dives with the last 3. And so we'll talk about Denis Bouanga with LAFC. We'll talk about Leo Chu with Seattle, and then we'll talk about AZ Jackson. All right. So with Denis Bouanga, in the game against San Jose, he scored the penalty in the 37th minute, the only goal of the game. But man, Bouanga he's really a special player, right? He was born in France, but he actually represents the Gabon national team. Shout out to Aubameyang, right? He actually forms a really lethal partnership with with Aubameyang on that Gabon national team. He came to MLS in August of 2022 from Saint Etienne in Ligue 1 in France. But he immediately had an impact when he scored the game winner in 2022 against Portland to clinch the Supporter Shield for LAFC. Okay, so he gets to the league in August, and in 2 months, this man is already contributing to a Supporter Shield, right? And even this year, we see this man's quality. So he for the CONCACAF Champions League, he won the Golden Boot. Obviously, he was named an MLS All-Star this season. The goal against San Jose was his 12th goal of the season, right? So he's slowly catching up to Hani Mukhtar's 13 goals. But which I think is important to note, Bouanga also has a political side, right? He's never afraid to call out the racists, right? And so when he was in France, actually, in April 2021, he was playing for Saint Etienne, and members of a supporter group called Magic Fans, okay, this is an official supporter group for Saint Etienne, okay, the team that Bouanga played for, okay, sent him a video on his Snapchat racially abusing him, okay? And bro, again, these are the supporters from his own club, okay? And that's what really bothers me the most, bro, is these are supporters from the club that the player plays on, right? They're racially abusing the players from their own club, right? That's what bothers me. That just drives me nuts, bro. But whatever. So even within that incident, Bouanga shut that ass up and scored in a 2-0 win against the opponents. And so for the celebration in that game, right, him and his teammate Zaidou Youssef pointed to their arms, right? To
I remember that actually. Now that you're saying it,
yeah.
That one made the rounds on Twitter a bit, and I didn't realize that was Bouanga. I didn't put 2 and 2 together there, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we hear these stories and all of a sudden they end up right in MLS or in these leagues that are closer to home. So in that celebration, we'll put up a picture for this, but in the celebration, him and his teammate are pointing to their arms, right, showing that, or trying to prove that skin color obviously has nothing to do with how one performs on the pitch, right? So in any case, the offender, right, and this is another part of my beef with this whole racism in soccer, the offender was only fined 1,500 euros, okay, which is just an absolute ridiculous joke. It's just an absolute joke, bro. I mean, 1,500 euros, bro. that's whatever. That's less than somebody's rent nowadays. But it's just madness. It's just madness. So we can talk about that all day. We can talk about racism in soccer and the punishments, the lack of punishments. That's a whole nother episode. But I say all that to say, Denis Bouanga is just out here balling. He's proven the haters wrong. Again, he's number 2 on the top goal scorer list for MLS. So that means we have 2 black players and 2 African players, right, that are at the top of this goal scoring list, right? So we definitely want to watch that for the rest of the season, and of course can't wait to watch both of them at the All-Star break next week, right? So shout out to Denis Bouanga. He's having a fantastic season. Kind of went into a little slump in the last couple of weeks, but hopefully this penalty against San Jose can kind of pick him back up, right? So that's Denis Bouanga with LAFC. Callie, you want to take AZ?
Yes, sir. All right, so AZ's he's an interesting guy, but for his performance, game winner against Toronto, fantastic goal, his first of the season, and an incredible assist from another very good young player, Akil Watts. Now, St. Louis obviously continuing just their magical year, man. Just if you haven't seen St. Louis play, I mean, you're missing out. They're a really, really fun team, a very young team too. So I'd go check them out. But Azil, born in New York City, all right, concrete jungle, grew up playing in the for the Red Bulls Academy, and then interestingly enough, in 2017, him and his family moved to France, and he joined the club Toulouse, and he was in their academy for 2 years. And then they moved back, and when they moved back to the United States, they moved into the Seattle area, and they joined Crossfire FC, which is you know you know a huge academy for youth soccer up there in just the Pacific Northwest in general, and he was training with the Seattle Sounders as well. Now he signs his first professional contract in 2018, like a first team contract, and he was playing with Blagnac, which is I believe now they're a 6th tier club for France. Only made a couple appearances, but then he finds himself in 2021 signing with Minnesota United, where he never got an appearance with the first team. He had 23 appearances with Minnesota United 2. He went on loan to North Carolina FC, and then in 2023 he signed with for this season he signed with St. Louis City, and started off the season at St. Louis City too. And then he got called up to the big boys, and he's played 7 games so far, and just scored his first one. So interesting background. Born in New York, moved to France, moved to Seattle, and then finds himself getting playing time to pretty cool places. And now he's finally got his call, and here he is, man, scoring, making it on the infamous Dreaming of Freedom podcast.
Yes. Shout out to AZ Jackson, man. The dude is like a little fresh, fly, little young baller out here in MLS. So it's definitely exciting to see him. Man has beautiful hair, by the way.
He's got the flow. He's got the flow.
He definitely does. So shout out to AZ. Really excited to watch him. And St. Louis has a lot of young players on their squad, a lot of young black players on their squad. To definitely keep an eye out for. So lastly, we will talk, and we already kind of talked about him, so I won't spend too much time on Leo Chu, right? Leo Chu, of course, plays for Seattle. The brother had a brace against Vancouver, and that is his 3rd goal on the season. He should have been credited with the assist for the game winner to Yeimar, but I think because it got deflected, he wasn't given that credit. But a young player, right? A young Brazilian, all right, only 23 years old, and in Brazil he was coming from the Grêmio, right? The Grêmio Academy. Played for the Grêmio senior team in 2020 and 2021. Not a lot of appearances because he was loaned out to Ceará, again another Brazilian club. And that's where he had a little bit more playing experience. Again, not a lot of goals, but he racked up 22 appearances for the club. And it's really where it's really at Grêmio, right, where we get to have a better sense of who Leo Chu is, and particularly his soccer inspiration. So when he was young, his grandfather's favorite player was Jose Tarcísio de Souza. Jose Tarcísio de Souza, and his name, or his nickname rather, he was known as the Black Arrow. Right, he was the name for it. You're right. Shout out to Black Arrow FC, who actually is Black Arrow FC. Black soccer culture, doing a lot of great things in the media world, and trying to do a lot of partnerships with different clubs around the globe. They actually got their name from Gil Scott Heron, his pops, right, who was known as the Black Arrow, who played for Celtic, right, a Jamaican brother who played for Celtic. So we see these kind of names, right? Black Arrow, Black Pearl is another one, right? Pele was called the Black Pearl, and Eusebio was called the Black Pearl. So we see all these different names, all these different nicknames kind of circulating throughout the diaspora. But at Grêmio, Jose Tarcísio de Souza was known as the Black Arrow. And Leo's grandfather, that was his favorite player, right? And so growing up, people called Leo Chu Flechinha, which is Portuguese for little arrow, right? Again, after his grandfather's favorite player. And so when we see Leo balling out in the game, then he scores a brace, right, in Vancouver. What is his celebration? he's shooting the arrow, right? And
Love that.
There's all of that connection. So we definitely love to see Leo really do his thing and really blossom this season. Actually, at the beginning of the season, it was kind of a struggle, right? He was kind of struggling to kind of find his place on the pitch, kind of struggling to find his starting position. But after a few of the players on Seattle got called up for international duty, he just took advantage of his opportunity. And in a game, check this, Callie, in a game against Sporting Kansas City in March, the game was 4-1. Seattle wins. Leo Chu has 4 assists. Right? So the brother is definitely lethal when given the opportunity. Okay, so we definitely want to see Leo do his thing throughout the rest of the season. I'm not gonna lie, I love me some Brazilian, some Afro-Brazilian. Give me all of that all day. I'll take that all day. So definitely want to follow Leo on his journey through MLS. Okay, so that wraps up this week's Dream Team. So make sure to keep an eye out for those players as we finish up the season. And finally, let's finish up with our footnote segment where, at long last, we will determine who has the blackest team in MLS. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have been wondering, or maybe you haven't been wondering, but I know we've been wondering for the longest, who is the blackest team? Who is the blackest team in MLS? So let's start with the Eastern Conference. Okay, we'll just go through the different clubs and give you their tally for number of black players, and let's kind of think of it as more or less plus or minus 1, right? Because there's always that brother on the team where you're not really sure if he's black, probably got a little black in there somewhere, but you don't know how he identifies. So you can kind of plus or minus 1 on each team, but for the most part,
it's like the Emile Smith Rowe asterisk, right?
Bro, I'm still trying to figure out.
Bro, I did not wait. It wasn't until I saw the I don't remember the name of it, the Arsenal documentary, that they start focusing on Emile Smith Rowe, and they show his parents and his dad's black. I'm like, excuse me?
I didn't watch that, so I didn't know that, bro. But I always wondered. I'm like, this dude looks a little.
And I remember in the 2 cents chat, I think it was Greg was like, bro, you look at his face and he's black. I'm like, I'm not gonna make that assumption. That's
what I'm saying though. Like, you look at him like, whoa, he looks like he got something in him. Anyway, okay, well, that's good to know. I mean, I always liked the brother. Yeah, I guess we can't call him a brother. Whatever. That's okay. We're getting to it. Way ahead of ourselves. Yeah. All right. So blackest team in MLS. Callie, you want to go through all the clubs, or should we just give the club with the most black players, the club with the least black players? I feel like I want to give all the clubs just so our listeners can know where their club stands. Yeah, let's go through all of them, man. We've done good on time here. All right, let's run it. Okay, so this is in no particular order. Actually, this is in particular order. This is in order of the Eastern Conference standings. Okay, so we have Cincinnati with 14 black players. 14 black players. Nashville with 7. New England with 13, and that's actually 12 now. with Blessing being. Well, no, but they got Mark Anthony K. That's so right. That one evened out. So we'll stick with their. That's right. So we'll stick with 13. All right. Columbus with 12, and that is including the coach, right? So 11 players plus Wilfred Nancy. Atlanta has 8. Philly has 9. Orlando has 9. DC has 9. Montreal has 14, and Montreal has 14. Wait, is that? Yeah. That's 14 with Opoku. That's 14 with Opoku. New York Red Bulls has 12 black players. Chicago has 5. Charlotte has 8. New York City FC has 4. Shame Toronto. On you. Toronto has 13, and Cali, I was very pleased to learn that our beloved Inter Miami has 9 black players. So if you were wondering, the team with the club with the least amount of black players, I'm sure you already figured it out, NYCFC, what are you doing, baby? I mean,
that's shocking. Like in New York City too. That one's
in New York City, bro. Like, come on,
how,
man.
How you letting the guys that play in Jersey have more black players than you, man?
Oh my
that's
gosh.
wild.
That is wow. That is one way to look at it. Jesus Christ, that is a great way to look at it. But yeah. So NYCFC, come on, do better. I don't know what y'all do. I don't know who's on y'all recruiting squad, but y'all need to expand y'all geographies when looking outside the U.S. for some more players.
Yeah.
So that's NYCFC with 4, and then the team in the Eastern Conference with the most black players is FC Cincinnati. And I will say, I don't think it's a coincidence. FC Cincinnati is top of the league. Okay, so
Montreal also has 14 for what it's worth.
Montreal, yes.
We
Thank you
have
for
a
that.
tie.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, we've been showing Montreal hella love, all season. So shout out to both of those clubs. I was kind of surprised to see how many black players Cincinnati had.
I'll say the East did pretty well because you also, New England with 13, Crew with 12.
Yes.
Red Bulls with 12, not bad. Toronto with 13, possible 14.
Possible 14.
That's
not
Emil,
sure.
That's it. Emil Smith Rowe asterisk. We're just not. We cannot confirm nor deny.
Exactly, and we will stay away from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was So shout out to Eastern Conference, shout out to FC Cincinnati and Montreal for carrying the flag for most melanated MLS teams in the Eastern Conference. All right, so next we have the Western Conference, and let's just get right into it. All right, so yeah, even though we've been showing St. Louis so much love, they have 7 black players. Seattle, who we just talked about, and I feel some type of way now as I'm wearing this jersey. Seattle has 5 black players. Okay, LAFC has 10 black players. Real Salt Lake has 9. Austin FC has 5. FC Dallas has 15.
Oof.
Okay, 15. Yeah. San Jose has 6. Houston has 9. Vancouver has 8. Sporting Kansas City has 7. Minnesota has 14. Portland with 12. LA Galaxy with 9. And Colorado Rapids with 13. Okay, so I'm sure you peeped the teams in the Western Conference with the lowest amount of black players would be Seattle Sounders and Austin FC with 5. And the team with the most black players in the Western Conference is FC Dallas, right? And shout out to FC Dallas, shout out to Nkosi Tafare, shout out to Bernard Kamungo, all these players we've been talking about on FC Dallas. And so, again, Seattle, Austin, not sure what the hell you're doing. Shout out to Leo Chu. Shout out to Yeimar Gomez, right? What is that, about 50% of Seattle's black players?
Almost.
All right. Shout out to Zardes, right, with Austin, who's doing his thing. But again, y'all, there should be no reason any MLS club should be lower than 9 black players, right? And that's actually the average amount, right? So there's about 9 black players on each MLS team, right? I think if you really want to get technical, in the Western Conference is like 9.2, and in the Eastern Conference is 9.6. Yeah. But that feels a little 3/5 compromisey. So we're gonna say 9 players, and there were, out of those, all of those black players, right? There were 42 countries represented. 42 countries represented, right? And kind of, adding to what we talked about last week, 19 African nations, okay? 19 African nations. So big shout out to the diaspora, right? This is just a testament to, how global the game is, right? How important the game is to black people, to black nations, to black, obviously to black players, right? Just, and a few other notes about this makeup, right? In the Eastern Conference, I believe Cincinnati had like 3 Africans. There was a Swedish player on Nashville, right?
The Baby Perry, yep.
Yeah. There was, I think there was 2 South Sudanese players. One on Atlanta, I think I'm forgetting what the other one is now. but there were definitely two South Sudanese brothers. There's a Kenyan player on Philadelphia, Richard Odata. Who else? Who else stood out?
We got a Ugandan player for New York Red Bulls. Steven Sirwata.
Yep, bro.
Kenyan Richard Odata for Philly.
Yep. So I mean, even though NYCFC only has 4 black players, Jesus Christ, that sounds so crazy to think about. One of their players is this brother by the name of Christian McFarland, and he signed with the club at like 14 years old. I think he's like the youngest or second youngest ever player to sign with an MLS club at 14 and a couple of days, right? So shout out to Christian. I think he's from England actually. So I think we talked about a Swedish player on Nashville, and then in Toronto there's a Norwegian, a black Norwegian player, Adama Diomande, right? And similar notes in the Western Conference, right? San Jose has a player from Burkina Faso. Houston has a player from Zimbabwe.
Minnesota player from Mali.
Yeah. Mali. Yep. So, it's definitely a lot of good representation globally throughout MLS. And we definitely want to continue to highlight, now that we know for sure, we definitely want to continue to highlight FC Cincinnati, Montreal, and of course FC Dallas, who has the most black players in MLS, right, with 15 black players. So we definitely want to give a big shout out to FC Dallas. Continue to do your thing, and they're doing pretty good in the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of their positioning, right? I believe, as I said, FC Cincinnati with the most black players in the Eastern Conference, they're top of the league, and FC Dallas is sitting at number 7 in the Western Conference, right? So, both teams are looking good. Montreal, right? They're sitting right outside the playoff spot with 26 points. So, definitely want to show all these teams love. Definitely want to continue to show all of our black players in MLS love. And that wraps up the Footnotes segment. So, Callie, is there anything you want to add for this episode? Episode 20, we finally made it. We made it to the end of episode 20. We're going to continue to give you this content going forward. But, Callie, anything you want to add?
Just 2 things. One, first and foremost, like if you're still listening to us, like thank you for putting up with us 20 times. That's great. Also, the last Inter Miami game I was at against Austin, I had someone come up to me, and I don't know if he went up to you, but he came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, like I listen to your guys' stuff all the time, and I've learned so much, and I appreciate you guys kind of like taking the initiative and talking about the hard things sometimes, and not being afraid to kind of have those tough conversations and stuff." And that was one of the more validating experiences I've had doing this. So, things like that, that stuff's awesome to experience.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Getting that feedback. I think the same dude came up to me as well. And, he was just really excited about the podcast, like, that we're doing the podcast. I was kind of taken aback, like, wow, like, thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it, So, definitely continue to give us the feedback. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you don't necessarily love. And we're going to continue to highlight, represent the black players in MLS, and really be a compliment, to our whole 2 Cents family, right? 2 Cents FC, FTC, Can I Kick It, Shea Butter, Walking 90. We're all doing the good work, trying to increase this representation. So with that, Callie, we are signing off, and we will catch you next week. Peace.
Catch y'all next week.
Too bomb black for them.